Welcome to Zoe Stories. The pill got me pregnant. I never thought a tiny pill could change my life forever. My name is Alex, and until last week, I was just a regular guy with a secret I barely admitted even to myself. By day, I worked as a barista at a small but trendy cafe downtown, the kind of place where every customer expected their coffee just so, and every employee had a quirky charm to maintain. I loved the work, the rhythm, the small interactions that felt almost personal, but my nights were different. At home, I became someone else. I experimented with my appearance in ways that society told me I shouldn't, but that made me feel more alive than anything else. I crossdressed, not for anyone, not yet, but because it gave me a strange comfort, a way to explore a part of myself I didn't fully understand. The feel of soft fabrics against my skin, the delicate brush of makeup on my cheeks, the way my hair framed my face in a different light, all of it awakened a thrill I couldn't ignore. I lived in a small studio apartment, cozy and filled with the faint scent of coffee and vanilla candles I burned when no one was around. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My wardrobe was split into two halves, the everyday clothes I wore as Alex, and the secret collection I had accumulated for Luna, my alter ego. Luna wasn't just a persona. She was an escape, a secret identity that let me explore femininity without judgment. And then there was Olivia. She was everything I wasn't. Bold, assertive, and impossibly beautiful, with a presence that commanded attention whenever she entered a room. We'd been dating for over a year, and I loved her more than I could admit. But I had a secret I had yet to tell her, one I feared would make her see me differently. I had never imagined that my life could become even more complicated, or that a single pill, meant as a joke or experiment, could twist everything upside down. It all started one lazy Saturday afternoon. Olivia had gone shopping, leaving me alone in the apartment with nothing to do but scroll mindlessly through my phone. Among the flood of memes and beauty tutorials, one post caught my eye. It was a miracle pill that promised unbelievable effects on one's body, and for some reason, I clicked the link. It was playful, silly even, one of those viral ads that make you laugh at how ridiculous it is. A voice inside me whispered, "What if you tried it? What if just once?" I hesitated. I had always been curious about changes, about exploring the boundaries of my body, but I had never gone this far. I laughed nervously and ordered it anyway, telling myself it was harmless. Maybe it was just a joke, a fantasy. The package arrived 2 days later. I unwrapped it carefully, the small, unassuming pill resting in my palm. It was strange, smooth, cool, almost inviting. I hesitated again, the familiar thrill coursing through me as I imagined what could happen. What if it changes everything? I didn't know then that it would. The first night, I decided to experiment with Luna. I slipped into her soft dress, feeling the silky fabric against my skin, and applied makeup with deliberate care. My reflection stared back at me, bright-eyed and delicate, my lips slightly parted as if surprised by the person I was becoming. I felt a thrill so intense it made my chest ache. The combination of fear and excitement, of shame and longing, was intoxicating. And then I swallowed the pill. At first, nothing happened. I laughed nervously, shaking my head at how silly I felt. "It's just a pill," I whispered to my reflection. "Nothing's going to change." But change had already begun. Over the next few days, subtle differences began to appear. My body felt lighter, my skin softer. My emotions were more intense, more immediate, like I was experiencing every sensation in high definition. Even my voice seemed slightly higher, sweeter, almost melodic. It was confusing and exhilarating. Olivia returned one evening, unaware of the experiment I'd embarked upon. I had dressed as Luna, just to test the effect, and the moment she walked in, I froze. Her eyes widened, lips parting slightly in shock, and 1,000 questions seemed to dance across her expression. "Alex, what are you wearing?" she asked, voice trembling with confusion. I swallowed hard, trying to explain, but the words faltered. "It's just experimenting," I stammered. Her eyebrows furrowed. "Experimenting? You look different." I nodded, unable to meet her gaze fully. The thrill of secrecy, of transformation, battled with the fear of rejection. I wanted her to understand, but I also wanted to hide. The pill's effects were subtle but undeniable, and deep down, I feared what was truly happening. The next morning brought the first undeniable change. I woke up feeling heavier. Something inside me shifted, a strange pressure, warmth I had never felt before. Confused, I rushed to the mirror. My reflection was familiar yet foreign, my body subtly different, softer and more curved. I stumbled back, hand clutching my stomach, and a sudden realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. I might be pregnant. The thought was absurd, impossible, yet every sensation in my body screamed otherwise. Panic clawed at my chest. How could this happen? I was a man, or at least I had been. But now, everything I thought I knew about my body and reality was unraveling. Olivia noticed the change before I could explain. Her eyes widened with worry as I hesitated, frozen by the sheer impossibility of it all. "Alex, what's happening?" she whispered, reaching for my hand. I shook my head, unable to articulate the surreal terror and disbelief surging inside me. I don't know," I admitted, voice trembling. "I took a pill, and now, I think." Her grip tightened, concern etched deeply on her face. "You think what?" I closed my eyes, feeling the warmth growing inside me, the unfamiliar weight in my body. The secret I had never imagined sharing with anyone, crossdressing, experimenting with identity, exploring desires, paled in comparison to this. This was irreversible. This was life-changing. And in that moment, I realized my life was no longer my own. The pill had done more than transform me physically. It had shattered the boundaries of who I was, who I could be, and what the world would now expect of me. The stage was set. My secret life as Luna, my relationship with Olivia, and the impossible reality of my pregnancy were all colliding into one terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly unpredictable storm. And there was no going back. The following morning, the sunlight spilled into my apartment, warm and cheerful, but it only highlighted how wrong everything felt. My body no longer responded as it had before. Even walking across the floor, I felt awkward, heavier in ways I couldn't describe, like my center of gravity had shifted subtly but irrevocably. I caught sight of my reflection in the narrow mirror by the kitchenette. My face looked softer, my features almost delicate, my eyes wider than usual, my lips fuller, more defined. My heart thumped painfully. I ran my hands over my body, hesitating on my stomach, which already felt strange. Sensitive. Warm. Unbelievable. This can't be real, I told myself. Yet the sensation persisted, undeniable and intimate. My mind raced with questions, panic lacing every thought. Am I actually pregnant? That's impossible. I'm a man. I can't. I stumbled into the bathroom, fumbling for the pill's packaging. The tiny tablet had promised harmless effects, harmless transformations, but nothing had said this. I swallowed hard, eyes wide, mind spinning. Was this some side effect? Some cruel joke? Then the nausea hit. It wasn't violent at first, just a subtle, rolling discomfort in my stomach, but it was accompanied by a strange fluttering sensation that made me feel impossibly small, like I was sinking into myself. My knees buckled slightly, and I clutched the sink for balance. A soft knock on the door startled me. "Alex." Olivia's voice drifted through. "You okay in there?" I froze, panic tightening its grip. My mind scrambled. What do I say? How do I explain this? "I am fine," I stammered, voice a little higher than normal. The pill's effects on my vocal cords were subtle but noticeable, and I noticed Olivia pause. "Are you sure?" she asked, suspicion creeping into her tone. "You don't sound like yourself." I swallowed, wishing I could vanish, wishing I could undo everything I'd done. "Just a little dizzy," I murmured. "I think I need to sit down." She hesitated, then her footsteps faded. The moment she left, a shiver ran through me. The secret was already dangerous enough, my crossdressing life, the thrill of Luna. But now, with this impossible pregnancy, My world had become a minefield. One wrong step, one slip of a word, and everything would collapse. I sank onto the couch, hands trembling as I tried to process what was happening. My thoughts were a chaotic storm of fear and fascination. How is this possible? How can my body, my male body, be experiencing pregnancy? The physical changes continued subtly, but relentlessly. My stomach felt heavier, more rounded with every passing hour. Nausea returned in waves, and I realized with horror that food no longer satisfied me the way it used to. I was craving strange combinations, sweet with salty, rich with bland, and my senses were sharper, more sensitive than before. Even my skin seemed to respond differently to touch, softer, warmer, more sensitive. And then came the emotional changes. I cried over commercials. I laughed uncontrollably at silly memes. My mood swung like pendulums, and I found myself reacting to the tiniest stimuli as if my entire body and mind had been rewired. Luna, the playful, exploratory side of me, felt more present than ever, teasing at the edges of my thoughts. I wanted to dress, to feel the silk of skirts against my legs, the brush of makeup on my cheeks, but fear kept me restrained. I couldn't risk Olivia seeing me like that. Not yet. Not until I understood what was happening. But the urge was overwhelming. The pill had unlocked something deeper in me than just physical changes. It had awoken Luna, a side of me that longed to exist fully, unrestrained. My fingers itched to comb my hair, smooth it over my shoulders, and look in the mirror as her. And every time I resisted, the tension in my chest grew unbearable, the duality of Michael and Luna tearing me apart. By evening, I could no longer ignore the physical signs. I had to test myself. I slipped into a skirt, hesitating as the silky fabric brushed against my thighs. I applied light makeup, heart hammering, chest tight. I felt exposed, vulnerable, but also alive in a way I hadn't expected. The mirror reflected someone new. Luna, soft, delicate, unmistakably feminine. And then I touched my stomach. A sharp pang shot through me. My eyes widened in terror and disbelief. It wasn't subtle anymore. Something was moving. I staggered back from the mirror, gasping, and my hands shook violently. I wanted to scream, to tell someone, anyone, but Olivia wasn't here, and the reality was too absurd to explain. I sank to the floor, clutching my stomach, trying to calm the rapid, chaotic beat of my heart. I thought of calling a doctor, a friend, anyone, but then the duality hit me. Luna whispered softly in the back of my mind, almost coaxing, almost daring. You can't hide from this forever. You want to feel it, don't you? I shivered. I did. Fear warred with fascination, and I realized with a shock that part of me wanted to embrace the impossible, to see just how far this transformation would go. And yet, the other part of me, Michael, screamed to resist, to hold on to reality, to cling to the identity that had been mine for so long. Hours passed in a blur. I alternated between pacing, sitting, and staring at the mirror, each glance at my reflection a confrontation with the truth. My life had changed. My body, my mind, my identity, they were no longer mine alone. Luna had emerged, entwined with me, inseparable. And the pregnancy, the impossible, miraculous pregnancy, loomed over everything, demanding attention, demanding surrender. By the time Olivia returned, the tension had become unbearable. She stopped short in the doorway, eyes wide, taking in my new appearance. "Alex, you look different," she said, voice trembling. I swallowed, heart pounding, aware that my voice had a higher, softer tone now. I don't know how to explain it," I said, trembling, a mix of fear and the strange thrill of revelation coursing through me. Her eyes narrowed, suspicion sharp. "Something's going on, isn't it?" I opened my mouth to speak, and hesitated, caught between Michael's instinct to hide and Luna's whispering temptation to reveal everything. And in that moment, I realized with a cold, sinking clarity, the pill had done more than just change me physically. It had rewritten my reality, rewritten my desires, and dragged me into a world where the impossible had become inevitable. The first night of this new reality stretched before me, and I had no idea how I would survive it, or what would come next. The days that followed felt like stepping into a world where reality and impossibility collided. Every morning, I woke to subtle but undeniable changes, my stomach soft and rounded, my hips wider, my chest heavier in a way that shouldn't have been possible. The pill's effects were no longer subtle. They were relentless, insistent, impossible to ignore. Each transformation brought a rush of panic and fascination. I would stare at my reflection for hours, running my hands over curves that didn't exist yesterday, tracing the swell of my stomach and feeling the strange warmth that pulsed there. The sensation was impossible, intimate, and terrifying all at once. My mind screamed for explanation, but no words could make sense of it. Meanwhile, Luna, the side of me I had always hidden, grew stronger. She teased me, whispered to me, daring me to embrace the transformation. When I brushed my hair and applied makeup, I felt a thrill I had never known. I caught myself smiling in the mirror, at once Michael and Luna, terrified yet exhilarated. Olivia had begun noticing more than just my appearance. Subtle differences in my voice, my expressions, the way I carried myself, they were small but undeniable. "Alex, you seem different," she said one evening, her eyes narrowing with concern. "Is something wrong?" I froze, unable to answer. How could I explain that the impossible had happened? That a pill had turned my life upside down, awakened Luna, and made me pregnant? I swallowed, trying to force words that wouldn't come. "I'm fine," I finally said, my voice softer, higher than usual. The change made her pause, a flicker of worry crossing her face. She reached out to touch my arm, hesitating. "You don't sound fine," she whispered. Panic surged through me. "It's just stress," I muttered, trying to mask the trembling in my hands and the fluttering in my stomach. The duality of Michael and Luna made everything more complicated. I wanted to confess, to share this impossible reality, but Luna teased me mercilessly. "Not yet. Wait, enjoy it, feel it." By nightfall, the physical sensations became impossible to ignore. My stomach fluttered with unfamiliar movements, tiny, insistent, impossible motions that made me gasp. I stumbled to the mirror, feeling the swell and warmth, realizing that the changes weren't just superficial. My body was truly different, alive in a way that scared me. I dressed as Luna that night, unable to resist the pull. The soft silk of a skirt against my legs, the gentle brush of makeup on my cheeks, the sensation of high heels elevating me. I felt every inch of the transformation. But it wasn't just clothing. It was surrender. Surrender to Luna, to the impossible, to the reality the pill had created. Olivia returned later than expected. She paused at the doorway, eyes wide as she took in my appearance. "Alex, is that you?" I froze, heart hammering. My reflection in the mirror, Luna's reflection, stared back at me with wide eyes and a soft, vulnerable expression. I tried to speak, but my voice caught. "It's me," I managed to whisper, unsure if I was Michael or Luna. She stepped closer, concern and confusion battling in her gaze. "Alex, you look different. And your stomach?" I cringed, realizing I could no longer hide it. My rounded belly, the subtle but unmistakable growth, was visible even through the loose fabric. Panic and thrill surged simultaneously. I don't know," I admitted, voice trembling. "Something the pill. I think it's changing me." Her eyes widened further, fear and disbelief etched across her face. "Changing you? How, what do you mean?" I wanted to explain, wanted to tell her everything, but the words failed me. I felt Luna urging me to stay silent, to embrace the impossibility, to revel in the transformation. I shook my head, overwhelmed by the duality. "I can't. I don't know how," I whispered. That night, alone, I explored the sensations further. My body felt impossibly sensitive, every touch, every movement heightened by the pregnancy, by the pill, by Luna's presence. I dressed carefully, applying makeup to accentuate my softer features, letting my reflection remind me that I was no longer just Michael. As I stood before the mirror, I touched my stomach again, feeling the impossible stir within me. It was intimate, exhilarating, terrifying. I shivered, realizing that this was only the beginning. The pill had done more than transform me physically. It had awakened desires, vulnerabilities, and a side of myself I hadn't known existed. The thrill was intoxicating, but so was the fear. I was hiding a secret that couldn't possibly be understood. Not by Olivia, not by anyone. My life had shifted onto a tightrope between fascination and terror, between Luna and Michael, between impossibility and reality. By the end of the night, exhaustion overtook me. I lay down, stomach fluttering, body tense, mind racing. I knew the next days would push me further, that the changes would escalate, and that the impossible pregnancy and Luna would demand more from me than I had ever imagined. And deep down, a single thought haunted me. How long before Olivia discovers the truth? And when she does, what will she do? The following morning brought no relief, only the growing weight of what had begun. My body had changed more than I could have imagined. My stomach was undeniably round, soft, warm. Each breath I took reminded me that my reality was slipping further from what I once knew. My reflection, now impossible to ignore, stared back at me with soft curves, delicate features, and eyes that seemed both mine and someone else's. Luna was no longer a whisper. She was a presence. She leaned in whenever I applied makeup, adjusted my hair, or slipped into one of my softer outfits. Her voice teased and urged me, reveling in the thrill of secrecy. "You look beautiful," she whispered, her tone intimate. "Why hide it? You feel it too, don't you?" I trembled at her words, caught between embarrassment and fascination. I did feel it, the impossible sensations within my body, the subtle movements in my stomach, the heightened sensitivity of every nerve. And yet, Michael's instincts screamed to resist, to cling to the identity I had always known. Olivia had begun to notice more than just appearance. Her subtle glances, the slight hesitation in her touch, the worried tone in her voice, all told me she suspected something was wrong. One evening, she approached me as I adjusted a skirt, eyes wide and concerned. "Alex, seriously," she said, voice trembling. "You're acting different. And your stomach, I can't ignore it. Are you okay?" I froze, fingers hovering in midair, heart racing. I wanted to tell her everything, but how could I explain the impossible? My lips parted, a high, soft tremor in my voice. I don't know," I admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Something's happening to me." Her eyes searched mine, a mixture of fear, concern, and disbelief. "What do you mean, something's happening?" I swallowed, panic pressing in from every angle. I wanted to reach for her, to explain, to scream, but the words failed. Luna's voice echoed in my mind, almost daring me to reveal everything, to embrace the impossible fully. I shook my head, trembling. "I can't, not yet." That night, I couldn't sleep. Every movement of my body, every flutter in my stomach reminded me that nothing would ever be the same. The pill had done more than awaken Luna or change my features. It had rewired my reality, and there was no turning back. By the time I allowed myself to dress as Luna, the transformation felt natural, almost necessary. The silk of the skirt, the delicate brush of makeup, the soft warmth of my enhanced curves, they no longer felt like a disguise. They were me, or at least part of me, intertwined with Michael in ways I couldn't untangle. I moved to the mirror, tracing the swell of my stomach with trembling fingers. It was no longer subtle. Anyone could see it now. A soft groan escaped me as a sharp pang reminded me that this was real, that something impossible was growing inside me. The thrill mingled with terror, leaving me breathless. Suddenly, a knock at the door made me jump. My heart raced as I realized it could be Olivia, or someone else entirely. I froze, unsure whether to hide or confront the intrusion. "Just a minute," I called, voice quivering. No answer came. I waited, chest hammering, ears straining. Every nerve was on edge, every shadow a potential threat. The secrecy that had once been a playful game was now a tense, impossible balancing act. One slip, one wrong word, one curious glance from Olivia, and everything would unravel. Hours passed in a blur of anxiety, anticipation, and subtle delight. Luna whispered constantly, coaxing me into acknowledging the thrill of my impossible pregnancy. Every flutter, every sensation in my body reminded me that I had crossed a line from which there was no return. I thought of telling Olivia. Imagine her face, imagine the shock, the disbelief, the questions. But I couldn't. Not yet. I wasn't ready to reveal the impossible truth that I, Michael, a man, had been made pregnant by a pill, and that Luna had fully awakened inside me. By the next morning, my physical changes were undeniable. My hips had widened further, my breasts fuller, my stomach even rounder and softer. The sensations were constant, insistent, impossible. Every step I took, every breath I drew, reminded me of the life that had begun inside me, a life that should not exist. I dressed as Luna again, unable to resist. The skirt clung to my newly curved hips, the soft fabric brushing against my thighs. I applied makeup carefully, tracing every delicate feature, enhancing what had already changed naturally. My reflection stared back at me, a mirror of impossibility, beauty, and fear. I shivered as I touched my stomach, feeling a subtle kick, a fluttering motion that made my breath catch. The thrill mingled with panic, leaving me dizzy. Luna whispered softly, almost teasing, almost daring. "You wanted this, didn't you? You wanted to feel it, to see it, to be it." I didn't know whether to cry, scream, or laugh. The duality of Michael and Luna had reached its peak. Fear, fascination, and desire twisted together, leaving me breathless, trembling, and utterly unprepared for what was to come. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a single thought loomed. How long can I keep this from Olivia? How long before the impossible truth is revealed? The days blurred together, each one more intense than the last. My reflection in the mirror had become a daily confrontation with impossibility. My once flat chest now bore the soft swell of breasts, my hips curved gently, and my stomach, my impossible, burgeoning stomach, rose with a roundness that defied reason. I caught myself staring for long stretches, fingers tracing the impossible contours, heart pounding. Luna whispered constantly, coaxing me, teasing me, daring me to surrender fully to this new identity. You are her now, feel it, enjoy it. But fear was never far behind. Olivia had started watching me more closely. Subtle glances, careful questions, a lingering hand on my arm. Everything made my pulse spike. One evening, she cornered me in the living room. "Alex, I need to know the truth," she said, eyes sharp, voice trembling. "You're hiding something, aren't you?" I opened my mouth, then closed it again, unsure whether to confess or deflect. The pill's effects had changed more than my body. They had reshaped my mind. Michael wanted to resist, hide, preserve what he once was. Luna whispered that hiding was futile, that surrender would bring exhilaration. I'm fine," I stammered, voice higher than usual, trembling. She frowned, unconvinced. "You're lying," she said softly but firmly. "Something's different, something's not right." Panic surged. I wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor, to hide from the impossible truth that pulsed in every fiber of my being. But Luna's voice echoed in my mind, almost seductive, almost daring. Not yet, enjoy it, explore it, feel every sensation. That night, alone, I succumbed. I dressed fully as Luna, the skirt clinging to my hips, the silk brushing against my thighs. I applied makeup meticulously, enhancing the delicate features that the pill had given me. I looked in the mirror, and for the first time, I didn't see Michael at all. I saw Luna. Soft, vulnerable, impossibly feminine. I touched my stomach, feeling the flutter, the impossible life growing inside me. Panic and exhilaration tangled in my chest, leaving me breathless. The physical sensations were overwhelming, every nerve heightened, every touch magnified. I shivered, aware that Olivia could walk in at any moment and shatter this fragile, impossible reality. The pregnancy was no longer subtle. Movements within my stomach became more pronounced, accompanied by nausea and a strange, inexplicable hunger. I found myself craving foods I had never liked before, sweet, spicy, strange combinations that made my stomach churn. And yet, the sensation was addictive, a forbidden thrill that made me want to touch, to feel, to embrace the changes fully. I paced the apartment, hands on my hips, fingers brushing my soft stomach. Luna's presence was relentless, whispering encouragement, teasing, daring me to surrender to the impossible. "You can't hide from her forever, from yourself, from this," she murmured. I froze at the sound of footsteps outside the door. My heart leapt into my throat. Olivia? Or a neighbor? I held my breath, listening as the sound passed, then retreated. Relief mingled with terror. This secret was growing heavier by the hour, impossible to contain. By the next evening, the physical changes were undeniable even in casual clothing. A fitted blouse revealed the swell of my chest. A loose skirt couldn't hide my rounded stomach. Every reflection, every movement reminded me that I was no longer entirely Michael. Luna had claimed a piece of me I could never retrieve. I sat on the couch, hands trembling over my stomach, heart hammering. The pill had done more than make me feminine or awaken Luna. It had defied nature, rewritten the rules, and trapped me in a body that was both mine and impossible. Fear, excitement, and exhilaration battled within me. Part of me wanted to hide, to flee, to erase the impossible reality. Another part, Luna, urged surrender, encouraged indulgence, demanded that I feel every sensation. I dressed again, lingered before the mirror, traced the contours of my impossible body, and whispered to myself, This is real. This is happening." A sudden wave of nausea hit me, making me bend over slightly, clutching the counter. The fluttering movements in my stomach were more pronounced than ever. Tears prickled at the corners of my eyes, not from sadness, not from joy, but from the overwhelming impossibility of it all. I realized then that the tension wasn't just physical. It was psychological, emotional, spiritual. The pill had changed my body, yes, but it had also altered my mind, my desires, my identity. Michael and Luna coexisted, sometimes harmoniously, often in conflict. And the impossible pregnancy made that coexistence feel both urgent and precarious. By midnight, I was exhausted, body trembling, mind racing. I lay in bed as the gentle fluttering reminded me of the life growing inside me. Fear and fascination intertwined, leaving me breathless. Luna whispered once more, soft and insistent, "You can't turn back. You never could." And I knew she was right. The impossible reality had become undeniable. Every reflection reminded me of the changes, the impossible pregnancy, the soft curves, the feminine features, and Luna's ever-present whispering. My body felt alive in ways I could barely comprehend, every movement carrying both exhilaration and terror. Olivia's presence weighed heavier than ever. She had begun lingering in the apartment, her eyes flicking to my stomach, her fingers brushing against mine in ways that hinted she suspected something. Her gaze often caught me off guard, and I found myself retreating into the persona of Luna, hiding Michael behind carefully crafted softness and vulnerability. One evening, she returned home unexpectedly. My heart leapt. I had dressed fully as Luna, skirt clinging to impossibly rounded hips, blouse accentuating the swell of my chest. My hair fell in soft waves, makeup perfect yet subtle. Every detail screamed the impossible truth I could not voice. "Alex," Olivia began, her voice trembling slightly. You're acting so differently. And your body." I froze, panic lacing every nerve. It's nothing," I stammered, voice higher than ever. "Just tired, stressed." But she stepped closer, her eyes sharp, searching, almost accusing. "You can't lie to me." Something's happening, and I need to know what it is. I swallowed hard, trembling. Every fiber of my being wanted to confess, to reveal the impossible truth, that a pill had made me pregnant, that Luna had awakened fully, that Michael no longer controlled all of me. But fear and impossibility held my tongue. I shook my head, whispering, "I can't, not yet." She frowned, frustration and concern battling in her gaze. "Alex, this isn't healthy. You're hiding something from me, and I can feel it." The tension in the apartment was palpable. I felt the fluttering movements in my stomach, subtle yet insistent, like a heartbeat I could not control. Luna urged me to surrender, to embrace the thrill, to let Olivia see the impossible. "Not yet, but soon," she whispered. I paced the living room, skirt swishing softly around my legs, hands instinctively resting on my stomach. Every flutter, every subtle kick, heightened my anxiety. I realized that the secret could not be hidden much longer. The pill had transformed my body beyond concealment, and Olivia's suspicion had reached a tipping point. Desperation mingled with fascination. I tried to focus on my dual identity, Michael's fear battling Luna's daring. Each glance at the mirror reminded me that I was no longer one person. I was Michael and Luna, impossible and real, trapped in a body that defied nature. Olivia watched silently as I adjusted my skirt, fingers brushing my soft, rounded hips. Her brow furrowed, eyes narrowing. "Alex, is that really you?" I could only nod, voice quivering. "It's me," I whispered. Panic and exhilaration coiled together, leaving me breathless. The room seemed to shrink, the tension thickening. Every sound, the rustle of clothing, the subtle creak of the floor, the flutter of my heartbeat, felt magnified. Olivia's presence, her gaze, and the impossible state of my body combined to create a pressure that was almost unbearable. By the next day, the changes had accelerated. My breasts were fuller, my stomach round and soft, the fluttering movements within growing stronger and more frequent. Every touch, every movement, reminded me of the impossible pregnancy that had begun with a single pill. I could no longer hide from the physical reality or the emotional weight it carried. I dressed as Luna again, the silk of my skirt brushing against my legs, makeup emphasizing the soft contours of my face. I stared into the mirror, hands resting on my stomach, feeling the fluttering life within. Panic and thrill surged together. "You can't hide this forever," Luna whispered, her voice almost intoxicating. And I knew she was right. The tension between Michael and Luna, between fear and desire, between secrecy and exposure, had reached its peak. Every interaction with Olivia, every reflection, every subtle movement of my body was a reminder that the impossible could no longer be ignored. As I prepared for the night, aware that every second brought me closer to discovery, I felt a mixture of dread and exhilaration. The impossible pregnancy, the awakening of Luna and Olivia's suspicions had created a storm I could no longer control. I touched my stomach one last time before sitting down, breath trembling. Every flutter, every movement, was a reminder that nothing would ever be the same. The pill had changed my life irreversibly, transforming not just my body but my identity, desires, and fears. And somewhere deep inside, a single thought persisted. How long can I keep this from Olivia? And when the truth comes out, what will happen? The storm was coming, and there was no escaping the impossible reality that had taken hold of me. The apartment felt smaller than ever, walls closing in with the weight of impossible secrets. My stomach swelled beneath the fitted blouse, every subtle movement a reminder of the life growing inside me. Luna's whispers were constant now, a seductive, daring voice that both thrilled and terrified me. I was arranging pillows on the couch, adjusting the hem of my skirt, when a sudden knock shattered the tense silence. My heart leapt into my throat. Olivia? Or worse, a neighbor, or someone who could ruin everything. "Alex," a voice called from the door. My pulse raced as I froze, hand pressed against my soft, rounded stomach. Every second felt like an eternity. I whispered under my breath, almost to Luna. "Not now, not yet." The door opened slowly. Olivia stepped in, eyes wide, brows knitted. "Alex, I need to see the truth," she said, voice shaking. "I can't ignore it anymore. Please just tell me what's happening." I wanted to run, to disappear, to hide behind the familiar identity of Michael. But Michael was gone, at least partially. Luna had taken hold, urging me to face the impossible reality head-on. My fingers trembled as I smoothed my skirt, heart hammering. I can't explain," I whispered, voice high and quivering. "It's complicated." She stepped closer, eyes scanning my body, lingering on my rounded stomach. "Complicated doesn't look like this. Something's happening to you, Alex. I know it." Panic surged. The secret I had protected, the impossible truth, was teetering on the edge of revelation. I could feel the fluttering within me, the subtle kicks, the undeniable signs of the pregnancy. Luna's voice urged surrender. "Show her, let her see." I shook my head, whispering, "I'm not ready." Olivia's expression softened, concern battling frustration. "Alex, you don't have to hide from me. Whatever this is, we can face it together. I just need honesty." Her words hit me like a wave. The temptation to reveal everything, the impossible pregnancy, Luna's presence, the pill, was overwhelming. But fear, disbelief, and the impossible nature of it all kept my lips sealed. "Please," she urged, reaching for my hands. "I'm not going to judge you. Just tell me." The flutter inside me intensified, a soft, insistent reminder of the life growing beyond reason. My body trembled, skirt swishing against my legs. My hands rested on my stomach, brushing against the impossible curve, every touch sending a shiver of fear and exhilaration through me. I stammered, words failing, voice quivering. Luna whispered, daring me, "Show her, let her understand." The room felt impossibly small, tension thick as air. Olivia's gaze softened, but her eyes searched mine, unwavering, demanding the truth. I realized that hiding was no longer an option. The secret had grown too large, too undeniable. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. My heart skipped a beat. Another visitor? I froze, breath catching. The impossible pregnancy, the duality of my identity, and the fear of exposure collided, leaving me paralyzed. Olivia glanced toward the door, frowning. "Who is it?" "I don't know," I whispered, trembling.
Panic clawed at my chest.
Every instinct screamed to hide, to protect myself, to retreat into Michael. But Luna was stronger now, a voice of daring, of thrill. "Face it, don't run." I moved toward the door, skirt swaying around my legs, stomach rounded and impossible. Hands shaking, I opened it to reveal a neighbor, someone who had never suspected, someone whose gaze now flicked to my body with a subtle, curious interest. "Hi. I just wanted to borrow some sugar," they said casually, unaware of the tension in the room. I nodded, voice high, quivering. "Sure, take whatever you need." My hands instinctively rested on my stomach, fluttering movements reminding me of the impossibility. Olivia's eyes narrowed slightly, curiosity mixing with suspicion. She stepped closer to me, lips pressed in a thin line. "Alex, I swear you're hiding something," she whispered. Panic, thrill, and exhilaration collided inside me. I felt the impossible pregnancy fully now, the flutter, the warmth, the undeniable reality. Luna's whispers caressed my thoughts, daring me to embrace it, to surrender fully, to let the impossible be seen. I shook my head subtly, whispering, "Not yet." The neighbor took the sugar and left, oblivious to the storm in my apartment. I closed the door, hands trembling, skirt swishing, stomach pulsing with impossible life. Olivia's gaze bore into me, soft yet unyielding. "Alex," she whispered again, "you can't hide forever." And I realized she was right. The impossible reality, the pregnancy, Luna, the transformation, could no longer be contained. The storm was coming, and there was no turning back. The air in the apartment was thick with tension. Olivia's eyes never left me, searching, questioning, almost accusing. Every movement, every flutter of my impossible stomach felt magnified, as if the room itself were holding its breath. Luna whispered, urging surrender, daring me to reveal everything, while Michael's fear surged like a tidal wave. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, my phone vibrated on the table. A message from an unknown number. "We know what's happening. Prepare yourself." I froze, heart hammering. Every instinct screamed danger. The fluttering in my stomach seemed to intensify, each movement like a signal from some otherworldly force. I looked at Olivia, panic and desperation clouding my eyes. "Alex, what is it?" she asked, noticing my sudden tension. Her voice was soft, but her gaze was unwavering. I don't know," I whispered, voice cracking. My hands instinctively rested on my rounded stomach. The message, the timing, everything felt orchestrated to terrify me. Luna whispered, "This is your moment, face it, embrace it." Suddenly, the door slammed open. A tall figure stood in the doorway, their silhouette sharp against the dim light. My pulse skipped. Who are you?" I stammered, heart racing. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face both familiar and terrifying. It was my landlord, someone I had trusted, someone who now carried an expression of cold calculation. "So, this is what you've been hiding," they said, voice low, almost amused. "You think you can keep it a secret?" Olivia gasped, taking a step back. What do you mean?" The landlord's eyes flicked to my rounded stomach, lingering with a predatory curiosity. "The pill, the transformation, the pregnancy. You didn't think it would stay hidden forever, did you?" I felt my knees weaken. Panic, fear, and disbelief collided, leaving me momentarily paralyzed. Luna whispered, coaxing me, daring me to respond. "This is it, show them, own it." My voice faltered, high-pitched and trembling. Michael's fear struggled against Luna's boldness. "It's real. I'm pregnant." The words hung in the air, impossible yet undeniable. Olivia's eyes widened in shock, her hand flying to her mouth. "Alex pregnant? But how?" The landlord stepped closer, a small, cruel smile forming. "The pill. You were careless. But now it's irreversible. And everyone will know eventually." Every word felt like a blade slicing through me. The fluttering in my stomach became more pronounced, almost violent. I pressed my hands against it, heart racing, mind spiraling. Luna's voice was louder than ever, a siren of daring and thrill. "Yes, feel it, embrace the impossible." Olivia stepped forward, touching my arm gently. "Alex, we'll figure this out. I promise. But you have to trust me. Right now, you're not alone." Her words were a lifeline, grounding me even as the storm of impossibility raged within. I nodded weakly, tears prickling at the corners of my eyes. I don't know how this happened, but it's real." The landlord's gaze hardened. "You've crossed a line. No one does what you've done without consequences. And I intend to make sure you understand that." Fear surged again, mingling with the impossible thrill of my transformation. Every nerve ending, every flutter, every soft curve of my body reminded me that Michael and Luna were both exposed, both vulnerable. I realized that the stakes had never been higher. Suddenly, another sound shattered the tense silence, a crash from the kitchen. I spun around, skirt swishing, stomach taut with tension. Olivia gasped. "What was that?" I hesitated, unsure whether to investigate or retreat. The landlord moved with unnerving calm, eyes flicking between us. "Go see," they said softly, almost taunting. I crept toward the kitchen, skirt brushing my legs, heart pounding. Every step was amplified, every flutter in my stomach a reminder of the impossible life growing within. I peeked around the corner and froze. The kitchen was empty, but a small box lay on the floor. My name written across it in unfamiliar handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it, revealing a single, small vial and a note. The pill was just the beginning. "Are you ready for the next step?" I staggered back, heart racing, stomach fluttering violently. Luna's voice echoed in my mind, almost laughing. You can't hide, you can't resist, the transformation isn't over. Olivia placed a trembling hand on my shoulder. Alex, what is it? I could only shake my head, tears streaming. The impossible, the unexplained, the surreal. Everything had collided into this moment. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that nothing would ever be the same. The landlord stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. Decide, Alex. Will you embrace it or fight it? Either way, there's no turning back. And in that moment, I realized the truth. My life had been irreversibly altered. The pill, the transformation, the pregnancy, it was only the beginning. The real test, the impossible choice, was just ahead. The apartment was silent, except for the soft, insistent flutter of my impossible pregnancy. I could feel it deep in my stomach, a life I had never imagined, a body transformed beyond reason. Luna whispered incessantly, daring me to embrace the thrill, while Michael's panic surged through me like electricity. Olivia's hand remained steady on my shoulder, grounding me even as the room seemed to warp with tension. Alex, we'll figure this out. Whatever happens, I'm here. Her voice was a lifeline, but the looming presence of the landlord and the mysterious vial made it impossible to feel safe. My hands shook as I held the small container, fingers curling around it with both fear and curiosity. What could it do? Was it another pill, another irreversible change, or something far worse? The landlord stepped closer, gaze sharp and unyielding. You've been given a choice, they said slowly. Embrace the transformation completely, accept what's happening to you, or fight it and risk losing everything. But either way, the pill has already changed you. There's no going back. I staggered backward, skirt swishing, stomach taut with fluttering movements. The words echoed in my mind, impossible yet undeniable. Luna's voice rose, coaxing and seductive. Embrace it, surrender, be who you were always meant to be. Michael's fear surged in direct opposition, panic straining my chest. No, this isn't real, it can't be. I glanced at Olivia, her expression soft but urgent. Alex, whatever happens, I need you to trust yourself. Don't let fear dictate your life. This is bigger than any secret we've held. The words were almost too much to bear. My body felt like it was splitting between two selves, between Michael and Luna, between fear and exhilaration, between secrecy and exposure. Every flutter of my stomach reminded me that the impossible was already real. The landlord's presence grew more oppressive, eyes narrowing. Decide now. Take the vial or walk away. But remember, the pill already started the process. You've felt the changes, haven't you? I swallowed hard, heart pounding. The weight of the decision pressed down on me. Could I embrace Luna completely, accept the impossible pregnancy, and allow my body to continue transforming beyond all reason? Or should I resist, cling to Michael, and fight against forces I barely understood? My hands trembled as I held the vial, the liquid inside glinting in the dim light. I could almost feel it pulsing, alive, a promise and a threat intertwined. Luna's whispers filled my mind. This is your destiny, your true self, the life you were meant to live. I looked at Olivia, searching for guidance, for reassurance. Her gaze was unwavering, filled with compassion and a quiet determination. Alex, you're stronger than you think. But the choice is yours. Whatever you choose, I'll stand by you. The room seemed to shrink, the weight of impossibility pressing against my chest. My stomach fluttered violently, and I pressed my hands against it instinctively, the life within reminding me that the changes were real, irreversible. My voice broke, high-pitched and trembling. Michael's fear screamed inside me, but Luna's daring coaxed me forward. Every instinct screamed surrender. Every nerve begged for the thrill of embracing the impossible. Finally, my fingers clenched around the vial. I could feel a shiver run through my body, the soft curves of my form, the undeniable swelling of my stomach, every subtle movement amplified in the charged air. Luna's whisper became almost a roar. Yes, take it. Be what you were meant to be. I hesitated, the impossible choice hanging in the air. The fluttering in my stomach felt like a heartbeat against my palms, reminding me that my life had already been altered irrevocably. Michael's fear clashed with Luna's daring, each vying for control over my next move. Olivia stepped closer, hand resting over mine on the vial. "Alex, whatever happens, it's okay. Trust yourself. You're not alone." Her words, soft yet firm, anchored me. The fluttering movements inside me intensified, a reminder that the pill had already started something that could not be undone. I could no longer hide from the truth, no longer resist the impossible. With a trembling breath, I made my decision. Fingers tightening around the vial, I felt a surge of exhilaration, terror, and wonder. Luna's voice filled me completely, Michael's fear retreating to the edges of consciousness. The impossible, the miraculous, the surreal, it was mine to embrace. I looked up at Olivia, tears glistening in my eyes. I'm ready," I whispered, voice trembling but determined. I'll embrace it." The landlord's expression shifted slightly, the hint of satisfaction in their eyes.
Good.
"Then there's no turning back." And as I uncapped the vial, the fluttering inside me intensified, spreading warmth and life through every fiber of my being. The impossible pregnancy, the transformation, the awakening of Luna, it was all real, all-consuming, and all irreversible. The apartment seemed to vibrate with energy, charged with tension and impossibility. I held the vial aloft, heart racing, stomach taut, skirt swishing softly around my legs. This was the moment I had been dreading and longing for, the choice that would change everything. And I knew, deep in my soul, that life, as I had known it, was gone forever. The pill, the vial, Luna, the impossible reality of pregnancy in a body that should not have been able to contain it, it had begun, and there was no turning back. The moment my fingers tightened around the vial, a strange warmth spread through my body, starting from my fingertips and racing inward. My stomach pulsed violently, the fluttering growing into waves that made me stagger slightly. I pressed my hands against it, feeling the impossible life inside, more insistent, more undeniable than ever. Luna's voice surged in my mind, seductive and commanding. "This is it. Let it flow. Be everything you're meant to be." Michael's panic tried to fight back, but it was drowned out, replaced by a thrill so intense it made my heart pound in unison with the new life growing within me. Olivia stepped closer, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder, grounding me. "Alex, I'm here. You're not alone. Whatever happens, I'm with you." Her eyes shone with compassion, but there was a tension beneath her calm that told me she understood how dangerous the moment was. I uncapped the vial, the liquid inside glowing faintly in the dim light. Every nerve in my body seemed to hum with anticipation and dread. I swallowed nervously, hesitating for a single heartbeat. The fluttering in my stomach spiked, almost as if the impossible life inside sensed my hesitation. Finally, I tipped the vial, letting a small drop touch my tongue. The warmth spread instantly, like fire mixed with a soft, electric thrill. My body reacted immediately. My curves seemed more pronounced, skin softer, chest swelling subtly, and the fluttering in my stomach intensified until it was impossible to ignore. Olivia gasped softly. "Alex, are you okay?" I nodded, though my voice shook. I feel different, stronger, more me, but also, the words caught in my throat as the transformation continued. My legs felt delicate yet powerful, skirt tightening around newly rounded hips. My fingers grazed my stomach, marveling at the impossible swell that grew with every breath. The landlord watched silently, expression unreadable, but I could feel the anticipation emanating from them. Every flutter, every pulse, every subtle change was magnified under their scrutiny. They didn't need to say a word. The tension in the room was enough. Luna's whispers became almost a roar. "Embrace it fully, don't resist. This is your true form." I closed my eyes, feeling the impossible life within me moving, stretching, asserting its presence. Each heartbeat echoed in my chest, and I felt my identity shift, blending Michael's fear and vulnerability with Luna's daring and confidence. I was both, and neither, transformed, yet impossibly human. The apartment seemed to shrink around me, walls pressing in as if the universe itself had contracted to witness this moment. My skirt swayed with every tiny step, the sensation amplified by the swelling in my hips and thighs. My hands rested on my stomach, feeling the impossible movement inside, and I realized there was no turning back. Olivia's voice was soft, almost a whisper. "Alex, look at me. You're incredible. Whatever this is, it's you. All of you." I opened my eyes, tears streaming down my cheeks. The fluttering inside me spiked again, almost as if the life within wanted to be acknowledged. I gasped, skirt swishing, fingers clutching at my chest and stomach simultaneously. Every sensation was amplified, every heartbeat, every breath, every flutter of impossible life. The landlord stepped closer, voice low and deliberate. "You've chosen. Now you feel it fully. The pill, the vial, the transformation, it's unstoppable. And everyone will see it soon enough." My eyes widened. "See it? What do you mean?" They smiled thinly. "The world doesn't forget, people don't ignore miracles or mistakes. You've become something unusual, impossible. And the revelation will come, whether you want it or not." Panic surged again, but Luna's voice, commanding and seductive, drowned it out. "Do not fear. This is who you are. Embrace the impossible." I pressed my hands against my stomach again, feeling it ripple, swell, almost communicating with me. My chest heaved, skirt swaying, and I realized the reality. The pregnancy was real, the transformation unstoppable, and I was caught between fear and exhilaration. Olivia stepped closer again, brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Alex, you're amazing. And no matter what happens, I'm not leaving. I'll be by your side through everything." Her reassurance grounded me, even as the impossible continued. I realized I was both terrified and exhilarated, vulnerable and powerful, human and something more. The room was charged with the impossible, every flutter a reminder that my life had irrevocably changed. And in that moment, I knew the climax wasn't over. The transformation would continue, unstoppable and undeniable, and the consequences, emotional, physical, social, would soon ripple outward. The apartment felt alive, almost sentient, as my transformation accelerated. Every flutter in my impossible pregnancy was amplified, every heartbeat a drum announcing a new reality. My chest rose and fell, skirt swishing around my legs, and the warmth of the vial's effect radiated through my body like wildfire. Luna's voice was deafening in my mind, seductive and commanding. "You are unstoppable. Embrace everything. Be the impossible." Michael's panic was still there, a whisper of fear tangled with exhilaration, but it was fading. I was Luna now, fully, impossibly, irrevocably. Olivia stepped closer, her eyes shining with a mixture of concern and awe. "Alex, you're incredible. I've never seen anything like this. But we have to think, what do we do now?" I looked down at my hands pressed against my impossibly swollen stomach. Every movement inside me was like a heartbeat echoing through my body, a reminder that the pill, the vial, and the transformation were no longer reversible. I was pregnant, an impossibility made real. The landlord's presence loomed, their gaze cold and calculating. "The world won't ignore this," they said. "People will see. They'll react. And the consequences, well, you'll have to face them." A wave of fear crashed over me. What would my friends think? What about my colleagues? Could anyone understand this impossible reality? My stomach fluttered violently, almost as if the life inside sensed my dread, reacting to my fear. I pressed my hands harder against it, tears streaming down my face. I don't know if I can handle this," I whispered. "It's too much." Olivia took both my hands, grounding me. "You're stronger than you think. We'll face this together. I don't care what anyone else thinks. We'll find a way." The landlord's eyes narrowed, a smirk playing at their lips. "Together or not, the transformation is unstoppable. And soon the world will know." The fluttering in my stomach intensified, almost like tiny kicks, tiny reminders of the impossible life growing inside me. Every pulse, every movement, was a message. There was no turning back. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed from the front door. My heart skipped. Who is it? I stammered, panic rising. The landlord's expression darkened. Perhaps someone eager to witness your miracle. I froze as another knock came, louder, more insistent. Olivia's hand tightened around mine. Alex, maybe we should see who it is, she said cautiously. My legs trembled, skirt swishing, as I approached the door. Every step was amplified by the tension in my body and the impossible flutter in my stomach. I peeked through the peephole and gasped. Outside stood a crowd, neighbors, delivery people, curious onlookers, drawn by some inexplicable force, as if the news of my transformation had traveled faster than reason allowed. Whispers carried through the walls. He's pregnant? Impossible. I stumbled back, pressing my hands to my stomach, feeling the impossibility fully, completely. Luna's voice roared. Show them, embrace it, let them see. Michael's panic screamed inside me, begging for retreat. No, this isn't real, this can't be. But I knew the truth. The pill, the vial, the impossible pregnancy, it was all real. There was no turning back. My body, my identity, my life had been irreversibly transformed. Olivia stepped beside me, her presence a calm anchor. Alex, whatever happens, I'm with you. Let them see. Show them who you are. I took a trembling breath, skirt swishing, chest heaving. My hands rested on my impossibly swollen stomach, feeling every flutter, every movement, every pulse. I opened the door. The crowd gasped, some recoiling, some staring in awe, others whispering frantically. The impossible reality of my pregnancy was visible, impossible yet undeniable. I felt their eyes, their judgment, their curiosity, and a strange thrill coursed through me. The landlord stepped behind me, expression unreadable.
See?
The world doesn't ignore miracles or mistakes. I glanced at Olivia, tears streaming, heart pounding, fluttering in my stomach like a drumbeat of fate. We have to face this, I whispered. She nodded, gripping my hand.
Together.
And in that moment, as the crowd watched, whispers spreading like wildfire, I realized the full weight of my choice. The pill, the vial, the transformation it had begun. And there was no going back. The apartment, once a safe haven, was now the stage for an impossible revelation. My body, my identity, and my life had been transformed beyond recognition. And the fluttering inside me, proof of the impossible pregnancy, was a constant reminder that the story was far from over. As the first person stepped forward, reaching toward me, curiosity and awe in their eyes, I knew the cliffhanger was complete. The world had seen the impossible, and there was no turning back. The door had barely closed behind the gathering crowd when my chest tightened, skirt swishing as my legs threatened to buckle. Every flutter in my impossibly pregnant stomach surged like tiny drumbeats, each one a reminder that my life had changed forever. The apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt like a stage, every wall echoing with whispers of the impossible. I pressed my hands against my stomach instinctively, feeling the life inside, the impossible, undeniable proof that the pill, the vial, and my choices had altered reality itself. Luna's voice thrummed in my mind, exhilarated, daring me to embrace the exposure. They see you, they know you are unstoppable. Michael's fear shrieked in opposition.
No. Run. Hide.
This isn't real. I looked at Olivia, her hand holding mine, grounding me against the tidal wave of emotion. Alex, breathe, she whispered. We'll face them together. Whatever happens, we're a team. I nodded, though my voice trembled. I don't know if I can handle it. Before I could speak again, the apartment door rattled violently. The landlord's presence loomed, cold and unwavering. The world will know, they said, eyes sharp. There is no secrecy anymore. You've chosen, now live with the consequences. The first curious onlooker knocked on the glass of the window, peering in. Others followed, whispers swelling into a low hum that pressed against my ears. Is he pregnant? One asked. Another murmured. It's impossible, how? I felt my stomach flutter violently, almost responding to their disbelief. I wanted to hide, to shrink, but Luna's presence within me pushed the opposite. Stand tall, show them. This is your life, your truth. Olivia squeezed my hand. Alex, remember who you are. This is your reality. Own it. A surge of adrenaline shot through me. My body, curves accentuated by the transformation, chest swelling, impossible pregnancy evident under the fabric of my skirt. It all screamed of exposure and thrill. I took a step toward the window, hands pressed against my stomach, facing the impossible reality. The crowd outside leaned closer, some gasping, some pointing, others frozen in shock. The whispers turned into murmurs of fascination, disbelief, and awe. My heart raced. Could anyone understand this? Could anyone accept the impossible? Then a voice from the doorway, sharp, commanding, spoke. Stop gawking.
Step back.
This isn't a spectacle for you to gawk at. I turned. One of the neighbors had finally mustered courage, pushing back the crowd, their eyes wide as they registered the impossible life within me. My stomach fluttered, almost as if responding, tiny kicks sending shivers up my spine. Luna's voice swelled triumphantly. They see you, they cannot ignore it. The world knows. Michael panicked. No, everyone will hate this, everyone will. I shook my head, tears streaming down my cheeks. The conflicting emotions, fear, thrill, vulnerability, empowerment, twisted within me. I was Luna, fully and undeniably, and yet Michael's essence clung to me, whispering warnings. Olivia stepped forward, shielding me slightly from the crowd. Alex, it's okay. Let them see. Whatever they think, we'll survive this. Together. The fluttering in my stomach intensified, almost a heartbeat in tandem with the crowd's gasps. I pressed my hands tighter, feeling the impossible life inside respond to the tension, to the exposure, to the thrill and fear combined. Then, the landlord spoke again, voice low, dangerous and knowing. The pill, the vial, you've changed everything. Soon, the world will see fully. And there's no going back. I felt a shiver of dread and exhilaration. The impossible pregnancy had already begun, irreversible and undeniable. The world outside the apartment would soon know, and my life, our lives, would be altered forever. The crowd murmured again, some taking out phones, some pointing, others whispering theories. One person gasped audibly, she's pregnant. I felt every flutter, every impossible kick, and a strange thrill mingled with panic. I wanted to run, to hide, but Luna's daring surged through me. Stand, show them, be proud, be unstoppable. Olivia pressed her forehead to mine, whispering, no matter what happens, I'm with you. Always. I nodded, letting her words anchor me even as my body shivered, skirt swishing, chest heaving, stomach fluttering violently. The impossible was real, the pill undeniable, and the world outside the window was witnessing it. A sudden, loud clap at the door startled me. The landlord had summoned more observers, or perhaps an authority. I couldn't tell. My heart pounded, fluttering in my chest, echoing the impossible life growing within. And then it happened, a sharp knock at the building entrance, footsteps rushing upward. Someone was coming.
Fast.
Intent on seeing the impossible for themselves. I froze, hands pressed to my stomach, skirt swishing as adrenaline surged. Olivia's hand tightened on mine. Alex, whatever happens, we face it together. The door rattled violently, and the apartment seemed to shrink around me. Every flutter in my stomach, every heartbeat, every wave of transformation, the impossible reality of my pregnancy, was visible, undeniable, and unstoppable. The sound of keys in the lock, the steps approaching, the whispers outside, all collided into a crescendo. I pressed my hands against my chest and stomach, skirt swaying with every tremor of fear and excitement. And then, just as the door handle turned, the screen cuts to black.